Chapter 79. Someone was buried here. The blood was spilling. It's clear that they are gone. Looking at the circumstances, they didn't escape on their own. But who took them away? After finishing his speculation, similar to others, Nahan quietly turned his head to look deep into the forest. It was hard to make out footprints from a long accumulated pile of leaves, but once he knew that someone had been here, several traces caught his eye. A young branch that looked broken as if someone had bumped into it, weeds growing in the crevices of the rocks that had been stepped on, and faint brown shoe prints on a white stone. Perhaps the brown was a footprint left by stepping on blood. 2 or maybe 3? Udir, who guessed the number of people here through these signs, stood up from his place. Do you intend to follow? Yes. Don't you think it would be better to return and come back with your companions? We don't know what kind of enemy lies ahead. It doesn't matter who's there. Unless it was an archmage who had trained only in attack magic all his life in the Pearl Tower, or a sword master with ample battlefield experience, there were few in this world who could injure Udir. Considering that Udir had even more practical experience, he would not easily yield to anyone. It was more important not to miss the traces they had finally found than fearing an unknown enemy. If you're scared, go back alone. How could you think that? Who do you think discovered this pit? If I were a coward, I wouldn't have followed you guys in the first place. Then why on earth did he ask such an unnecessary question? Udir frowned, thinking him as inscrutable as Kishir. He started walking, turning his body as if to say, follow if you want, and if not, don't. Shortly after, he faintly heard Nahan's footsteps behind him. The traces led them deeper into the mountains, choosing only the paths less traveled by. Doesn't something feel strange? Nahan spoke again as they approached a valley and the radius of the forest began to widen. Udir, carefully searching for the traces, responded roughly, What? As we go deeper, the path is getting wider. It might be a place where the path merges with the one used by people from the nearby village. No, it's a bit different from that. As Nahan mumbled something, he suddenly grabbed Udir's arm. At the same time, the air around them wavered, and the color subtly changed. What are you doing? Someone is coming. Just as he said, a few unfamiliar faces appeared from the opposite path moments later. At a glance, they looked like ordinary hunters, but there were no sight of tools such as snares or daggers for dismantling traps, which was commonly carried by hunters. They seemed completely oblivious to Udir and Nahan, casually chatting as they gradually approached. Still not talking, huh? Such a stubborn bastard. Yes, seems like he thinks he's somebody now that he received a surname from the Emperor. He's too stubborn to speak a word. Tsk. There's no cure for an old dog. Despite dying, he's still so full of life. What the hell were the guys who were supposed to control him doing? Apparently, he's one of the capable men that Duke Peleta gathered from all over the Empire. They are trying, but it's hard. Please understand. Perhaps it would be better to simply handle them moderately and let them go, rather than using the family as bait, a voice said. Udir instinctively realized who they were talking about. Devran. Instead, Devran was still alive. He wasn't sure if the one dragged away and buried, bleeding in the pit, was Devran, but it was a relief that the path seemed to be leading the right way. And there's one more thing I need to report to the Warden. What is it? The youngest Horton had asked for help. He says Duke Peleta had already sent someone, suspecting something. Someone? The man called the warden stopped in his tracks. Through his branches, a blurry view of brown hair and a face was visible. For a moment, Udir froze as he realized that this man was from his previous life's memory. That guy is the Apeto dukedom, one of the 4 great dukedoms. In Udir's memory, it was a place quieter than other dukedoms but equally sinister. The man who was going to receive the title of Duke of Apeto about 5 years later had the same face as this warden, who had been his direct subordinate. Younger than his memory, but it was definitely him. He had seen his face and greeted him several times at the party he had attended as a cavalry member. I can't remember his name, but there's no doubt about it. People from the Apeto dukedom were in the east, while the Diarchos dukedom power was strong. It wasn't impossible for them to be there, but it was strange to run into them in this mountain, especially since the circumstances made it clear they were the ones who took Devron Hatur. Without knowing exactly what was going on, Yudhid tried to quickly recall his memory while not missing the conversation unfolding before him. Yes, they sent 4 people, all of whom are said to be capable. It's a bit early, but we did expect them to send such people. If we ignore them, they'll find nothing and return. Tell him to ignore it. Instead, tell him to pay more attention to his brother. I conveyed as much, but it seems he's still worried. He was asking us to send someone in case the Diarca side notices something because of their rampaging. We don't have people to spare. Did he not anticipate even this situation when he betrayed Diarca and killed his own father and sister? He is the one who reached out to us, blinded by the desire for a small town lordship. Just ignore that coward. I understand. We have already found everyone we could find here, and soon we will be off, so just dealing with them casually is enough. The warden clicked his tongue and moved on, his expression filled with dissatisfaction. Zakel Hatton betrayed Diarca and joined hands with Apeto, then killed the previous lord and his sister, all for the lordship. It was an unexpected story, but even if he's after the lordship, what does any of this have to do with Devron? As he watched the warden's party heading uphill, Yudir moved to follow them without realizing it. However, Nahan, who was holding his arm, stopped him. Don't get any closer. Although we had covered ourselves with an illusion to appear like trees, there could be those who were sensitive enough to notice our presence. A murmuring, as though someone were saying, like you, seemed to drift on the edge of hearing. Just then, one of the men who had slightly followed the group, dressed like a hunter, suddenly turned his head and looked towards Yudir and Nahan. Over there. What? I heard something from over there. It appeared that Nahan's advice had come too late. The men dressed as hunters took a defensive stance all at once, and the warden also turned his body, revealing a cold gaze. Who's there? Reveal yourself. Although they had not yet detected the illusion, it was only a matter of time until they did. Now that they knew something was there, Yudir subtly moved his right hand to rest on the hilt of a practice sword loosely hanging at his waist. Count to 3 and then dispel the illusion. Are you planning to handle all of them by yourself? It's not a problem, just keep track of the time. Yudir etched the number and positions of the people in front of him into his mind and began to count quietly. 1, too. Ha! Okay, we come out. What now? His count to 3 was cut off, either hand still resting on the hilt of his sword. Turned around. 2 people were emerging from behind the rocks near where Judir and Nahan were standing. One person was unknown, but the other was very familiar. He was Keol the Diarca, a member of the Diarca family and a knight from the Imperial Knights. Why is he here? You guys are pretty quick on the uptake. What are you doing here? I am a senior knight, Keol the Diarca of the Imperial Knights. This is one of the places where the Imperial Knights come to train every year under the auspices of the Diarca family. I have never heard of people like you staying here. Who are you? Keol's gaze was arrogant as ever. As he scrutinized the people from the Apeto dukedom, the warden stepped forward. Either could see the intense whirl of emotions stirring ceaselessly within his eyes. Ah, so you are the knights of the Imperial Knights. I have heard about your reputation. Have you come here, for training? Didn't you hear what I just said? That's right. We are just passing hunters. We will leave soon, so don't worry and don't be angry. Given that he didn't know how much Keol had heard, the warden seemed to have decided to play dumb. However, all Keol saw in his eyes was a hint of contempt. Hunters, huh? Do you think I would believe that? It's true, we are dogs of Apeto daring to venture this far without fear. You must not fear death. I'll figure out what kind of tricks you have been pulling here and report it to my father.